Good morning. I hope everyone's doing well today. I'm Nicole Grigg. I am starting my Crime Diaries new site. I hope everyone will join me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook as I get the site going. I've had a true crime passion for a while, and I just wanted to start bringing that to you in these cases. Today I'm covering the Chesire Murders. And this is a family of 4, Pettit family. The murders involved a mom and 2 daughters. The only surviving victim was the dad. This had to do with arson, child rape, triple murder, strangulation, everything in this case. So hang on, this is a wild one. And just to let you know, remember, I am not a professional. This is for educational purpose only and trigger warnings. So we'll get started on this case. So on July 23rd, 2007, 2 home intruders entered the home of the Pettit family. The perpetrators were Joshua Komarkovsky, and I cannot say his last name, and Stephen Hayes. The 2 perpetrators were only planned, they said, to rob the home, but ended up in a triple murder. So we'll go over the victims first. The victims were Hawk Pettit. She's a nurse, co-director at the Health Center of Chesire Academy. It was a private boarding school in Chesire. Her husband was at Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh in 1985, and that's where they met at and got married. So then they had 2 daughters. First one was Haley. She had just graduated, and it was from Miss Porter's school. And she was planning on going to Dartmouth, if I'm saying that right, college in the fall, where she wanted to study medicine. And she had she was an active fundraiser for multiple sclerosis. Her mom had multiple sclerosis, and she had started her own active research for the disease. She captained a walk of MS team called Haley's Hope. And her sister, Michaela, which was 11 years old, she went to Chase Collegiate School before her death. And she had planned on taking over Haley's Hope and calling it Michaela's Miracle once Haley went to school in the fall. And Michaela loved to garden. She loved to cook. And she had even cooked dinner the night before their murders. And then there's William. He was the sole survivor of the whole invasion. He went through a lot himself. He was tied up, beaten, and barely survived. He got out at the last minute. So we'll go over these. So the perpetrators. First was Stephen Hayes. Stephen Hayes was born May 30th, 1963. He was in and out of trouble for a long time. He was convicted of his first burglary in 1980 at the age of 16 and tried as an adult at that time. He was paroled in 1982, but violated the parole 7 weeks later. During the time between the incident and the Chesire murders, Hayes was arrested nearly 30 times during that and spent most of his time incarcerated. Him and Komarkovsky, and I'm just going to call him Joshua because his last name is just too hard for me to pronounce. So we'll just call him by his first name, Joshua. They met at a halfway house. Joshua He was born in August the 10th, 1980, and he was originally from Torrington, and he was the co-conspirator in the home invasion. He was born to a 16-year-old girl and put up for adoption. So when he was adopted by the son of a theatrical director, Theodore Komisarvsky, and a dancer, Ernestine Stodel was her name. He was sexually abused and burned and tortured as a child. It was said that he was. And in the 1990s, he was accused, Joshua, of sexually assaulting his sister. So he went to trial for this. And he was convicted during the penalty phase of the trial. And his father conceded that it probably was true, that he believed it was. Joshua committed his first burglary when he was 14 in 2002. He was arrested for 18 home invasions. During his sentencing, Joshua told the investigators that he loved to break into people's homes and then stand over their bed and watch them breathe. That was something that he loved to do, and that he could invade someone's privacy and them not even know that he was. So on the morning of July 22nd, 2007, Hawk Pettit, the mother and her daughter, Michaela, went to a local grocery store. That was usually what they did on Sunday afternoons, is they went shopping for groceries. So they went to a local grocery store, and that's where Joshua seen the two of them together. It's said that Joshua probably was drawn to them more for Michaela. He was known for liking younger girls. His past girlfriends were either looked younger or were a little bit younger. And there's an HBO special that you should watch with the Chesire Murders. That's really good. That tells more about Joshua and Hayes's their past, and it interviews their family and tells more about what they were like. So if you get a chance to watch that, it's really good. So when they were at the grocery store, Michaela and her mom, Hawk Pettit, Joshua noticed them, and he followed them home to see where they lived. He had a drug habit, and usually one way to support his drug habit was to burglarize homes. And he would seek out more people that looked more influential or more established, had more well-to-do. He would follow them home and burglarize their home. So he followed them home and found out where they lived. Then he contacted Hayes and told him that, he had found a place that they could hit up that night. So that was their plan. It was recorded that Hayes sent a message that said, quote, he said, "We still on?" And Joshua replied, "Yes." And then Hayes said, "Soon?" And which Joshua replied, "I'm putting the kid to bed. Hold your horses." And then Hayes replied, "Do the horses want to get loose?" So the whole plan they stuck to, kept saying they were just planning on robbing the Pettits. But then it turned into something more worse. But some of the investigation, once you see it, you'll see that, once I break it down, you'll see that's probably not what at all they were planning to do. They had other plans. So on the night of July 22nd, they hung out at the home and were going to wait till everybody went to bed. And at 3 a.m. on July 23rd, the morning of the murders, Hayes and Joshua saw William Pettit lying on his couch watching TV. So Hawk Pettit, with her having MS, a lot of times William would sleep on the couch so he would not disturb her in her sleep. So he had fell asleep watching TV on the couch in the sunroom. And the girls, Haley and Michaela, were watching TV in another room. And at around 11, they went to bed. They locked the front door and then went up to their rooms. And that's when Hayes and Joshua entered the home through the basement. And as they were going in through the basement, Joshua found a baseball bat. So he took out with him, and they went into where William was sleeping, and they hit him several times over the head and then tied him up. And at some point, they moved him down to the basement and tied him to a pole at the basement. And William told the investigators he does remember that one of them said, if he moves, shoot him. So he didn't remember which one, but he does recall hearing that. So once they had tied William to the pole, then Joshua and Hayes went upstairs, and they supposedly gently shook Hawk Pettit, and they tied her to the bed and put a pillowcase over her head. Then they went to the girls' rooms and done the same thing to them. So once they had done that, they started going through the house looking for things that they could get money for. But when they did all of that, they weren't satisfied with what they ended up with. And they ended up finding a bank receipt of $40,000 that had been deposited. So they decided that they would get $15,000 of this. So that was their plan next. So then the morning of July, earlier that morning, like around when it was time for the banks to open, the first thing that occurred was Hayes was shown he got 2 gas cans from the Pettit's home. He went to a local gas station and filled 2 of them up, filled them up with gas, and came back to the home. And then he took Hawk Pettit to their bank, and she went in and withdrew $15,000. Now, there is footage. I'll show you here. The footage that shows her going into the bank. She told the teller that her and her family were being held in their homes, and that she thinks that the perpetrators only wanted money and they were being pretty nice. So the teller immediately called the police. Now, the police did arrive back outside the home, but they ended up setting up perimeters to not let anyone know they were there, and they waited. So once Hayes got back and Hawk Pettit to the home, things escalated so quickly. So evidently, while they were at the bank, Joshua, he has the interest in the younger girls. He raped Michaela. He actually videoed this on his phone, was how he was actually caught with this. And during the autopsy as well, there was evidence. And he also had used Clorox to try to cover that up. And once Hayes brought Hawk Pettit back to the home, he proceeded to rape her and then choke her to death and threw gasoline on her at that point. William Pettit said that he could hear this occurring with his wife from the basement, and it was occurring in the living room. And that's when he was like, I've got to get out of here. He was afraid. He stated that he thought they were going to shoot them all next. After this, the perpetrators went up to Michaela and Haley's room, and they were still tied to their beds, and they doused them with gasoline as well and set the home on fire. They took the Pettit family, one of their vehicles, and ran, but were caught outside not far from the home and arrested. Now, William just got out as the house was being burned. He got loose and crawled out of the basement and went to, I believe it was a neighbor's house that he went to. The neighbor said he didn't even recognize him. His whole head was messed up. He was bleeding bad. It was shown when the investigation began inside the home, it was shown that Haley had gotten loose from her ties at some point during the fire, and she had made it to the top of the stairs where she collapsed. And most likely she did have some bad burns on her feet, but it was said probably from smoke inhalation is when she died. And Michaela was found still tied to her bed. That is where she died, and she had second and third degree burns as each assailant blamed the other for the murders, that they were the driving force of the murders. Joshua even blamed William, the dad, for the murders, saying that he was weak and that he could have saved his family. I'm like, during Joshua's interview or investigation, he kept calling Michaela KK. And the investigators were like, why do you keep referring to her as KK? And he said, well, her mom and sister called her that. That's her nickname. And I thought, what in the world? This guy doesn't even know her. And the audacity of this guy to even try to act like he's part of the family or that he knows her. Just shows how crazy he is. In the end, with the trials, the verdict came down as Hayes not guilty of first-degree arson, but he was guilty of all the remaining charges along with Joshua, which was capital murder, 6 counts, murder, 3 counts, first-degree kidnapping, 4 counts, first-degree sexual assault, third-degree burglary, I can't say that word, first-degree arson, and second-degree assault. They both were sentenced to death, but in 2015, it was commuted to life in prison without parole due to death being abolished in the state where they were in prison, So tell me what you guys think of this case. I just think this was, of course, no murder is joyful or great. This was terrible. And I know William went on to, he didn't go back to his job as a physician. He ran for a couple political roles in his area, which he had won, and he remarried and had a son. And so I hope he's doing well. I know this was something terrible that he would have to carry on for the rest of his life. To go through something like this would be horrible. And just tell me what your thoughts are in the comments. Be kind, be nice. This is my first case, and again, I hope you guys will stay tuned. I plan on doing another one in about a week. So I hope you guys will tune in. Again, it's Crime Diaries. Check me out on YouTube. I'll get some more going on Facebook. I'll see y'all later. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Thank you.